Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Doctor to Doctor in the Chat Room. I hope y'all are doing well today. We're excited to be here. Hey, Dr. Shaw, how you doing today?
I am doing okay. I got a bit of a sore throat
I
and
was gonna say you do not sound like
yeah,
yourself.
voice doesn't want to cooperate, but I'm here.
Oh my goodness. Does that happen to you with like allergy season? Is
I
that what's
mean, I know that's what it is, like, because I've had this, and I've really been doing good during the pandemic. I talk about that a lot, how wearing that mask has been
Mm,
beneficial for me.
yeah.
But I think the pollen just overtook us this time.
Oh
And
Lord.
I could not run from it all, but anyway, so
Yeah.
seems when my body is in supine, is that what they call it, the laying down position? When I'm in that position, I
Uh-huh.
just want to cough, and then I cough and cough and cough and cough, and it's just like a dry cough.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm just rubbing all those things together back there in my throat, and they get me
Right.
irritated. I don't know what's happening.
And it's
It's been
getting
happening for a while. I've
yeah.
taken 3 COVID tests, so
Oh my goodness.
matter of
Well,
fact, I'm gonna mute y'all and cough now. So
well, we gonna pray for you to be better, feel better.
thank you.
Because there's nothing worse than, not feeling like yourself. When
That's
we're
right.
tired, when we're sick, I think we are even more tired, even more drained because it just
Mm-hmm.
takes a little bit of energy to fight off whatever's going on. So
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna pray for you that you feel better very
But I'm
soon.
glad to be vertical and above ground. So
Yes,
it's all good.
absolutely. You know what? That reminds me, before we talk about our topic for this week, what you just said reminded me of the message from church a couple Sundays ago. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but we were talking about how we have a choice to be grateful, to practice gratefulness. And I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember if I said this, a couple weeks ago or not, but I know I wanted to share it on the show. And what you just said reminded me of it. And so he was given an example of, basically how you can get up in the morning and you can choose to go one way or the other. And
Mm-hmm.
so his story was, okay, I got up one morning, started saying to myself, oh man, my back is hurting, my legs are hurting. I woke up with injuries that I didn't go to bed with, and this is just gonna be an awful day. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, I go into the kitchen and I got my taste buds all ready for some cinnamon toast crunch and find out my kids ate the last of it.
Yeah.
So he says, I end up choosing a different kind of cereal that I didn't really want, but that was all
Mm-hmm.
that was there. And he said, and then I opened the refrigerator and I got my mouth all ready for some cow's milk. He said, the only thing that's in there is some soy milk.
Okay.
He says, I'm a red-blooded tax-paying American. I deserve my cow's milk, right? So all these things are happening, and he's just kind of griping and moaning throughout the day. He says, I get in my car and it's traffic and it's making me late. And he says, I get to church and somebody's sitting in my seat. He said,
Can't do that.
all these things are happening and I'm just mad about it. And he says, that orientation can just continue to drag us down and down and down and down. He said, or you could wake up and go, I am upright and above ground. I do have a little, some aches, but I woke up this morning feeling pretty good. The sun is out. It's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
When you go into the kitchen, maybe there's no cinnamon toast crunch, but Lord willing, there's some other food that you can choose because,
Mm-hmm.
God put it on your table. He said, and then, he gets into his car and there's traffic and he could choose to think this is horrible. It's going to take me forever to get to work. Or he can choose to think maybe life's getting back to normal. People are
Yeah.
out and about. And
Yeah.
2 years ago, we didn't have that, going
Mm-hmm.
on. We were
Mm-hmm.
longing for people to be out.
Mm-hmm.
Then you could get to church and you could see somebody sitting in your seat and you can choose to say, that must be a new person today. Somebody woke up and decided to
Yeah.
come to church today. Because if it was someone who has been here for years, they
They
know
would
that.
know that I normally sit here.
Right. And so this
Mm-hmm.
must be somebody who just, was driving by or happened to come to church and maybe they'll give their life to the Lord today. So he went through this thing to say we have a choice in what we decide to be grateful for and what we decide to groan and moan over. When you just said, I'm not feeling that well, but I'm above ground and I'm upright, it reminded me of that story that he told. That we always have a choice to look at the good, to find the good, to be grateful.
And I tell you, I am grateful. I really mean that. There's so much going on still.
Yeah.
Around us, within us.
Yeah.
And just to feel like being here.
Right. Right.
It's a blessing, I tell
It
you.
is. It is. I mean,
I really mean that. Like we talked about so many things on this show. We always say that we discuss those relevant topics that could impact our communities and our world. I remember when we were talking a lot about, suicide. And there's just so many reasons that I can think of, in spite of what's going on around me or within me, that I can think of to be grateful for. I think about my family and the deaths during the pandemic.
Yeah. And
I'm like, that could have been me. I didn't want it to be them, but it could have been me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very grateful.
Yeah. And I think we have to stop and take a minute to really, say that out loud. Like we're just so busy going through the motions.
And you know what? Lately, my little devotionals that I do every day, they're always really inspirational and all that, but man, they have been so on point. I've been sharing them with you.
Yeah.
They have truly been hitting the nail on the head. And every time I read one and it makes me feel that way, I always say, this was my daily bread.
Yes. Yes. Just for you. I mean, it's divinely, what is it?
Orchestrated.
Yes, absolutely. Like I
believe it.
So many things that have happened to just over the last couple of weeks that there's no other explanation for it, in my opinion. Like it has to be God. Like it just is. And so, we should just take a moment and just say that and appreciate it. So thank you for reminding me of that. Because I did want to share it when I heard it. I said, I think our viewers would appreciate this. So anyway, so
it's still a shout out to the women,
yes,
for Women's Month. Just want to highlight our women. So many great women. Some, women do so much. We endure so much, and I know men do too. But it's just, it seems like, and I think a lot too about mothers when I'm thinking of women. It just seems like we're doing so much. But shout out to women. We appreciate you. And I want to shout out to a special group of women in Blue Mountain, Mississippi. They took the time to call the station and say that, hey, we get together, our group gets together every week just to listen to you guys, to the show. And so thank you. We don't know your names. If you send your names in, we'll shout you out one by one. Thanks to all of you for taking the time to come and share this hour with us. We say that every week, and we don't just say it in a cliche-ish way. We mean it. We really cannot do this without you. So thank you for thinking of us.
Yeah, I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
Speaking of love, we're going to talk a little bit about the love languages today, the 5 love languages.
Yeah.
Last week, we talked with Mr. Byron Turner, and he was answering some questions about, just things from men's perspective. And so, we were thinking, what better way to follow that up than to dive deep into the 5 love languages. We talk a lot about, just relationships in general. But I don't think we've ever really talked much about, not in depth anyway, the 5 love languages. So we thought that would be a great place to kind of pick up today.
Let me just say this. When somebody gave me the book as a gift, and I heard so much about it. Matter of fact, I read an article recently that indicated there were 7. But Yeah, but when I read that book and thought about what it meant to me, um, in comparison to what people were saying it meant to them. Like everybody was talking about, oh, because my love language is this. And so everybody was talking about their love languages and they were learning their love languages. But the premise of the book for me was learn your partner's love language, because you have to love people the way they need to be loved and not the way you want to be loved. So I just kind of wanted to start with that because, you know, it's so easy. If you enjoy something, say if you enjoy getting gifts. It's so easy to think that that's a way to love somebody else. Oh, I'm going to buy them something. They might not give a hill of beans about a gift.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things about human nature. I think it's called egocentrism, where like we think the way we do things is the way it should be done. And there's no harm in
that's a great point.
There may not be harm necessarily in like, oh, I like gifts, so I'm going to buy them gifts, right? You might not be
harming, but you still got to do what they need.
Yes.
You're
still thinking about you. I like gifts, so they must like gifts, which maybe they don't. But if we don't talk about love languages, or if we don't even, you know, we'll get into, because there's a quiz and all this stuff where you can figure out what your love language is. But if couples never talk about it, then you spend a lot of time doing for others what you would want to be done for you. And I think the two of you spend a lot of time maybe angry at each other because you're not feeling like you're being loved, even though the person who thinks they're loving you, they're giving you the world, and you're like, but no, I don't. That's not what I've even asked for. So we're gonna get into it. So what are the 5 love languages? So they are basically different ways of expressing and receiving love. So there's words of affirmation, and we can talk a little bit in depth about all of these, but words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. As we were saying, not everybody communicates love in the same way. And likewise, people have different ways that they prefer to receive it. So love languages was developed by Gary Chapman in that book that Dr. Shaw was just talking about. But I think if you don't know this, then you just do what you know to do. For a long time in the beginning of being married, I was that person who thought gifts was, you know, the thing to do, because I like gifts. So I was always, you know, for birthdays or for Christmas, I was buying things, or like even, you know, just random little things. I didn't get the response that I wanted. And I was disappointed because he didn't seem super excited about it. And then we took the quiz and I was like, oh, he does not care about gifts. But I was spinning my wheels kind of, you know, trying to, I thought, if that's what makes me happy, that's going to make
him happy.
And so you know, that's part of, I think, getting to know your partner.
And if you don't believe that you need to love a person the way that they need to be loved, you can be really, really disappointed. Back to your scenario. You know, I went out and I bought this and you know, but that person is not really moved by it, right? And it's disappointing to you because you feel like I went out of my way to do this, but what you went out of your way to do was something that you enjoy. You know, and you know, one of the things that Byron talked about a lot was communication. And here's where a place that it really, really counts. You know, you have to talk. And and part of communication is listening. You better listen. Right? And my grandma say, take heed. Take
listen
heed.
to understand too, because I think a lot of times, and I'm guilty of it, I listen to respond.
Well,
Like,
and that's easy to do. That takes a lot of practice. Almost who doesn't? I mean, we're all in our workplaces or whatever. And when
mm,
people start talking, we start formulating a reply,
yes.
easily, easily.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Um, so let's talk about the specifics of these. So
Mhm.
what does words of affirmation actually mean?
One of my
Um,
favorites.
oh, is this one of yours?
That's one of my tops.
Ah, okay. So people who are words of affirmation people, they value verbal acknowledgement of affection. So I love yous, compliments, words of appreciation, words of encouragement. Um, like even if it's just a text about, I'm thinking of you, or I miss you, or I appreciate you for, X, Y, and Z. Um, People who are big on words of affirmation, like, love that. They need that. Yeah.
It's funny because to me, it doesn't even have to be in a romantically based relationship.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
It can
Yeah.
be in other areas or
Yep.
arenas of my life.
Yep.
And when I am affirmed in whatever that role is, when I'm affirmed in that, I'm
Yeah.
good. You
Yeah.
know, you know, I mean, I've literally, like how sometimes I make presentations or speak or,
Mhm.
whatever. Like I want to read the
Like
evaluation.
feedback. Uh-huh.
When
Yeah.
I say I want that feedback, I want it. And if I get some that is not necessarily, to my liking,
Uh-huh.
but I can, be open-minded and say, I can see where, oh, that might even really make things better or not. Now, if
Uh-huh.
somebody's just being mean or whatever, that's just one
Right.
thing. Write that off and keep moving.
Yeah.
But I play at church when
Mm,
it's not about a compliment for me. It's more
uh-huh.
about um, I enjoy making other people happy, making
Uh-huh.
other people feel good. So
Yeah.
when they say to me certain things, I know that I have had a positive impact on
Yeah.
them. Does that make sense a little bit?
Yeah. And it kind of fills your bucket to know
It
that.
does.
Yeah. I love that you said it's not just about romantic partners, because it isn't. It's about, like you said, work. There's even a love language quiz for kids
Mm-hmm.
that kids can take so that their parents know what
How
their
to love
child's
them.
love language is. Yeah,
That's perfect.
it
Mm-hmm.
really, really is. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we could spend, hours on this, but unfortunately we are at a break.
Oh,
So we've still got four other love languages to talk about.
yeah,
Um, so hopefully, we can get through all four. This segment just flew by. So
it did. Always.
yeah.
Well, we'll
But
be back in a moment, guys.
and we're back. Thank you for hanging out today. We are talking about love and the five love languages.
Mm.
So we just talked a little bit about words of affirmation and really what that, looks like and sounds like. Um, so here's some examples of this. So any kind of encouragement, affirming someone, showing your appreciation, empathizing with them, listening actively, like making the person know that you are really listening to them. Um, Here's some examples of some actions to take to show or to demonstrate words of affirmation. So sending an unexpected note, text or a card, um, or genuinely encouraging someone, randomly or often. Those, unexpected notes or cards I mean, I think to everybody, it's like, oh wow, I was thought about.
The
But
sticky note on the bathroom mirror is major.
yeah, I love
Mm-hmm.
that. And that's not even my, top one, but I still
Mm-hmm.
would be so moved. So imagine somebody who that really, really speaks to getting that. Um, that could make somebody's day.
Mm-hmm.
So Okay, the second one is quality time. So
And
people,
before you go to quality time, can I just read something that I found
oh
on Words of Affirmation? It's a quote by someone.
yeah, oh yeah.
Words are singularly the most powerful force available to humanity.
Mm,
Words have energy and power with the ability to help, to heal, to hurt, to harm, to
yeah.
humiliate, and
Wow.
to humble. The
Wow.
words we choose and how we use them can build others up or tear them down. That's Yehuda Burge.
Wow. That's that's deep. That's deep.
Yeah.
I love that. Um, it's so true. Like our words have so much
Mm-hmm.
power to build somebody up or to humiliate, right? Oh goodness, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. Quality time.
Yeah.
So people whose love language is quality time feel the most seen, heard, validated when their partner actively wants to spend time with them. Um,
Mm.
and it's always, just down to hang out. You don't have to do anything extravagant or expensive, but just the fact that they want to be in your presence, spending quality time is one of those bucket fillers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they particularly love when active listening, eye contact, and full presence are prioritized
Mm-hmm.
in the relationship. Is this one of your top ones?
It is actually, I think you and I were talking to some other friends recently. I don't know. Somebody was talking about how they don't have to have a lot of time or whatever. I think people that don't require a lot of time tend to think folks that do are like kind of needy
Yeah, yep.
or something. I don't think I'm needy, because I certainly love my me time.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm in a relationship then and I'm doing something, I prefer to do it with my partner,
Yeah, yeah,
hanging out or whatever. But you know me, I will also hang out with Rhonda.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm so glad I learned how to do that, like
yeah.
to
You,
enjoy me. So I think when you do that, you learned how to love you. I think it took me a really long time to learn how to do that. I'm so disappointed in myself about that because I didn't even know. I think I care so much about other people.
yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
but yeah, spending I love spending quality time. I mean, it didn't have to be anything in particular. I
Right.
really like it when you're with somebody and anything y'all do is good
Yes.
time. Like it don't matter. You just like, as long as we doing it together, we good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Even if
It
we
can be
sit,
from the most minute thing to the
yeah,
grandest thing you can imagine.
yes,
Yeah.
as long as we together.
Mm-hmm.
When you mentioned people who say other people are needy, it made me think about, I mean, yes, there are some people who are just very needy.
I would find that person overbearing.
Yeah, I think
But
sometimes
I don't think that's what it is a lot of times when people label it needy. Do you see what I'm saying? A needy person to me would be overbearing.
yes,
I think
yes,
sometimes it's labeled as needy when it's not necessarily.
right. And I think sometimes it's almost a manipulation tactic on the other person's part,
Ooh.
right? Like if I say you're needy, then they're going to try to prove they're not, which means they, don't question me, they stay out my business,
Oh.
they don't, you know what I mean? Like when I
You
hear
thought
that, I'm
about it
like,
like that?
"Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, there's something feels real manipulative about it because I think if you hear that, it's offensive. So you're automatically gonna be like, no, that's not me. I'm not needy. Let me show you.
Mm-hmm.
And then that person, if they are trying to manipulate you, they have kind of got you where they want you.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of,
So the greatest gift you can give someone is that of your time.
mm-hmm.
Because when you give your time away to someone, that is something you can never
Yeah.
get back.
Yeah.
So if your partner's love language is time, then they are going to thrive off of spending time. You could be engaged in activities that you both really enjoy, or you can watch a movie or do a lot of nothing. But it's just about giving that time. What matters is that you spend the time with each other with minimal distraction from the outside world.
Yes.
And life is not a matter of milestones, but multitudes of moments. Zig Ziglar said this: spend quality time with those you love. One of these days you will either say, I wish I had, or I'm glad I did.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. You will either have some regrets or be grateful about the choices you made.
Absolutely.
These are some deep quotes. Goodness. Making me rethink my life choices. Okay, so here's some examples of how to demonstrate quality time, real good quality time, if that's your partner's love language. So uninterrupted and focused conversations, meaning like, if you're having a conversation, don't be on your phone, or, don't be checking
it. That's just a biggie, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying for the world in which we live now. Like, I can't even imagine now. Like, it's funny how, based on thinking about back when I was growing up or whatever, what the distractions might have been then.
Right.
Versus what they are now. Like, you paying attention to that TV. You ain't even, it's so much now. Yep. We carry it around in our pockets.
Right. I read this article about how cell phone usage was detrimental to some relationships, because where we, like you said, we didn't used to have them, so we kind of were forced to be, in conversation with each other, or if we were sitting on the couch together, we were talking or watching something together and maybe interacting about it. But now if we're sitting on the couch together, 9 times out of 10, both people have their phone in their hand. Or if you're going to bed and maybe you're watching a show or something, 9 times out of 10, you both have your phone in your hand. And so we're just completely distracted and detached, I guess, from each other, because, interacting with the phone or games or social media, but anything but our partner. It feels normal now. So yeah, that uninterrupted, purposely focused time, the way to demonstrate that quality time love language. Creating special moments together, taking walks, doing small things with your partner, weekend getaways, or picnics, anything you can think of that says this is all about us.
And capturing it on picture or video. I believe in that.
Yes, me too.
I get fussed at about that, but I believe wholeheartedly in that. Take a picture.
Yeah.
I don't care how ugly it is. Let's do it. We got to remember this moment.
And I know people say that too. Well, just be in the moment. But if I capture it, then I can't be in the moment, 5 years from now, because I don't have a
There you go. You know what? Because I so regret. I have few, but I do have some. And I so regret not having more pictures like of my grandmother. Both my grandmothers. Like, I just wish I had more memories that I captured. I wish I had spent more time with them. I wish I had asked more questions. I wish I had documented things. Dead serious. Like, and so I may have to initiate that with my grands. So that they can glean whatever they can from me. But I regret that. I did not spend more time. I mean, we get so wrapped up in our lives. And of course, none of us are gonna live forever, but then their lives come to an end. And now I got so many things I wish I could talk to both of them about.
Same. I wish I had more pictures. I only have like 3 maybe pictures of my mom, which makes no sense to me. Like, how do I only have 3? And I told you this before. I wish I would have sat in the kitchen and just watched her cook, watched her just do her thing. And I regret that. and you can't get it back. So, if y'all hear nothing else from us today, spend that quality time with the people that you love, whether it's their love language or not.
Just do it. Right. That's right.
All right. Well, let's move on to the third one, acts of service. If your love language is acts of service, you value when your partner goes out of their way, to do things to make your life a little easier. So maybe bringing you soup when you're sick, or making you coffee in the morning, or picking up the dry cleaning, for you if you've had a busy day at work. This is the love language for people who say actions speak louder than words, right? You can tell me all you love me, but I need you to show me. So
the magic words are, let me do that for you.
Yes.
Let me get that for you. I got you.
Yep. Or I'll help, or what do you need, or how can I help? Or my favorite is, I already did that. You thought about it and like it's done. I love that. I love that. So some of the ways that you can show this, some of the actions you could take, doing some chores for someone or with someone, making them breakfast in bed, or go out of your way to, help out if they've got like a large workload or something, or they've got a deadline coming up, or you could this could even go for your kids if they love acts of service, help do their chores with them. I wouldn't say do it for them, but maybe participate in it with them. Kids, you can fool kids into thinking that anything is great. Like, oh, let's make a game out of it and do our chores. They all for it. But yeah, I love this one, the acts of service. And I think the thing to remember is just what we've been saying. Just because you might love acts of service doesn't mean your partner does. So don't spend your energy trying to do all these things for your partner and then wonder why.
And they really need quality time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we got to ask the questions.
That's just defeating the purpose. I don't care. I mean, you have to be willing to bend a little and say, that's not necessarily who I am, but that's who my partner is. And I have to buy into that.
Yeah.
Really. Gandhi said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others.
Wow.
Like, and somebody was talking about like how no matter how exhausting it may feel to do acts of service, because like, it takes some energies, right, to do acts of service. No matter how exhausting it's well worth it in the end. If you are quenching that thirst for love for your partner. And within, like I said, outside of the romantically based relationships, I mean, some people don't do any acts of service until Thanksgiving, if that, or Christmas, or whatever. Reach out and lend a hand to some people sometimes.
That's one of the things that they talk about with depression and anxiety too, is find something to do for someone else, because it takes the focus off of whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is you're thinking about, and it puts it on somebody else. And there's always some good that we get from helping or doing. There was something Jackson and I were doing the other day, and now I can't remember what it was, but it was something for someone. And I remember him saying something along the lines of like, that made me feel really good. And I was like, it really did, didn't it? Like, I hadn't even really thought about it, but I wish I could remember what we were doing. But I just remember that being his reaction. And I was like, this is great. Like,
it felt good to him to do something for somebody else.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
It really, I mean, it just blew me away, because I wasn't even thinking about it, but there's something that happens, I guess, chemically in the brain, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. If you love to love,
Yeah.
If you are a nurturing person,
Mm-hmm.
there is something chemically that happens in the brain when we show love and when we show kindness
Yeah.
to others. I wish I was. I am big on acts of service, not for myself. That's not my language but it is something that I would do for others. I think you kind of know that about me. Like I would just be like, you know what I mean? Oh, I'll help, I'll do it or
Yeah.
or whatever. I
Yeah.
think I naturally do it, but it's not something that I think about as much for myself.
Right.
And although it's not my language, because I'm so big on it and I naturally do it too and for others,
Yeah.
I think I do kind of feel some kind of way if I'm in a position where I need acts of service.
Yeah.
And they're not available to me, particularly, and I know this sounds crazy, particularly by the people that I've gone out of my way to continuously
Sure. Yeah.
Implement acts of services.
Yeah. And I think that's probably, I don't know if the word is like hurtful or I don't know what it is, but it is something along those lines when you would do, you would bend over backwards or you would drop everything to prepare some sort of act of service for somebody, and then there's nobody's around when you need.
Nobody available when you need somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's horrible. It's
It
horrible.
is. And again, that's coming from two people whose love language is not necessarily acts of service. And it feels that way to us, and it's not even our love language. Like
there's somebody that needs it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like is it not weird to you when you think about some of the love languages but they're not yours? Like sometimes I'm like, why would that even matter? Right. Like access.
Yeah.
In a relationship, but I mean, it's just, each his own. I'm not being judgmental. It's just kind of strange. And it's a testament to how we want to love people the way we want to be loved, and not how they
want to be. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we do have a couple more to talk about, but we are at yet another break. So we will catch y'all on the other side.
I think you might be moving the clock ahead sometimes.
I think we just get into these really good conversations about, like love and relationships.
Especially relationships, yeah.
Yeah, it's real easy to just, But anyway, we'll be back on the other side to finish up with the 5 love languages. Stick around. And we're back. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We're having a good old conversation about the 5 love languages. And before we went to break, we had a few left. So we have talked all about acts of service, quality time, and words of affirmation. And now our 4th love language is gifts. Now, gifts, pretty straightforward. We all know what that means. But your partner feels loved when you give them some sort of visual symbol of love. May not be about the monetary value, but it's just the thought behind the fact that there was a gift given to them. And maybe even particularly for me, when there's thought and effort behind it, as opposed to just, random gift. I would take a thoughtful gift over a random gift any day. And gifts is one of my love languages. And I don't know why I feel bad about saying that. It almost makes me feel like I don't know.
But like you said, it's not even it's always mistaken for the materialistic portion of it. But I think if based on how it's described, if my grandkids give me gifts a lot, and they're usually things they've made.
Yes.
And they mean the world to me, right? So I mean, you can't put any more thought into something than that when you just make it with your bare hands and write
Yeah.
me something cute on it or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. You
Mm-hmm.
know what? And that reminds me, my godmom, who's also my aunt, a couple months ago, she sent me a text of a picture, and I didn't know quite what it was till I opened it up. But when I did, it was this drawing that I made for her when I was probably like 5 or 6. I don't even remember drawing it, but my
Mm-hmm.
name was on it. And she told me, "You gave me this like 35 years ago, and I've always kept it." And I was like, "Oh, it just touched my heart." Like, one, because she had kept something that I gave her
Mm-hmm.
literally 35 years ago. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and to see something that I drew 35 years ago was also really cool. Um,
Yeah.
but I imagine that one of her love languages is probably gifts too, just because she kept that little
Mm-hmm.
made drawing for
Mm-hmm.
35 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can see you, 20 years from now, sending the grands a little picture or their little,
Yeah.
whatever they made for you, um, because it meant that much to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's yeah. It's sweet and special when it's sentimental. Yeah.
So Tinku Razori says some gifts are big, others are small, but the ones that come from the heart are the best of all.
Absolutely.
When we talk about gifts, that makes me even think about cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a Hallmark card or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like when somebody takes the time to
Yeah.
really pick me a card that's meaningful and
Mm-hmm.
and that just really aligns with, oh my God, you want to see me tear up? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Um, Conversely, I remember, a couple years, someone would be like, "Can you just pick out a gift for your birthday? Like,
Uh-huh.
can you just go online and just send me a link?" No, I cannot.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. Like, put some thought into it, put some
Yeah.
effort, put some
Mm-hmm.
time. Like
Mm-hmm.
that
Or
is,
basically just keep it.
or
Seriously.
that, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Because if I'm, just picking out my own, it doesn't feel as
Yeah.
special.
Or just hand me money if that's what you're gonna
Yeah,
do.
yeah, pretty much. Because that's what you're doing anyway. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's no thought in it. There's no, effort, no sentimental value, no
Mm-hmm.
time spent. So you might
Mm-hmm.
as well just hand over, whatever.
Some of them
Uh,
duckies.
yeah, yeah. So, that's gifts. That's number
Okay.
4. Physical touch is
Mm-hmm.
number 5. So people with the physical touch as their love language love when they receive any kind of physical sign of affection. So holding hands, cuddling on the couch, just being next to, close to that their significant other. Physical touch can be incredibly affirming and can serve as a powerful way to, connect with people emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Now they say that the roots to this go back to our childhood. Where some
Mm.
people only felt a deep affection and love by their parents when they were being held or kissed or touched. And so now as an adult, that is their thing. They need it, like crave it.
For real.
And it's something when you don't get it. Like,
Like that, like one article says it's almost like abuse.
yes.
Hmm. But there's also statistics show that a certain, like so many seconds of touch per
Uh-huh.
day and how healing that is. Like
Yeah.
even if it doesn't even come from someone
Yep.
that you are emotionally bonded with,
Yep.
like the human touch is a need.
You know what? When I worked in in a residential facility, I would hear this all the time, that kids would purposely act out to get restrained because that was the only time
They
that
would get hugged really tight.
yes, that was the
That's
only time
crazy.
anybody would touch them.
It's true.
I mean, it just goes to show that what you just said is true. Like
It's
need
true.
it. We crave it, we need it, and man, when we don't get it, it can ruin
It's
relationships.
got to be some hugs, some cuddles, some pats on the back. As you
Yeah.
said, some holding hands.
Yeah.
Playing with the hair, or I mean, a massage, or it's gotta be.
Yeah. Because it can ruin a relationship when someone needs it and they're not getting it. Like, I mean, how many relationships can we probably, count that we have either been in or we know of where the breakdown was they didn't feel love because there was no physical touch, or there was no, there was people we need it. Like, it's human nature for us to need. We those other studies about orphans, when they don't thrive because there's nobody touching them, holding them, like they don't thrive.
Mhm.
It just is an innate human need of ours to be
Mhm.
touched.
Even if it's not a person's love language,
Right.
well, top love language, because
Right.
I think what another premise of the book is, these five things kind of are the needs in a relationship, but
Mm-hmm.
some take priority over
Yeah.
others, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the individual or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But yeah, we all need it. We just need it at different. And I'm telling you, and if you're a person where it's your top
Yeah.
one of your top languages, and you're not getting it, it's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. It can really be game over for a relationship. And I
Absolutely.
say that from personal experience, because
Mm-hmm.
it just, I can forego a lot of things, but not that physical touch piece.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
when you were saying about like it being, like abuse, it withholding any kind of, physical
Mm-hmm.
touch does feel like abuse if you need it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it almost feels purposeful. And yeah.
So, and this is one of those that when I say it really feels strange when something is your love language, but it might not be another person's. Like, I don't even understand how people manage like without touch.
Mhm. Me either.
I mean, everybody I love, you know what I'm saying? I want to hug them.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
But Maya Robart says
Mm-hmm.
a human touch is that little snippet of physical affection that brings a bit of comfort, support, and kindness. It doesn't take much from the one who gives it, but it can make a huge difference in the one who receives it.
Yes. Yeah. For me, I've man, I feel like I've learned a lot about myself the last couple of years, but for me, it is an absolute red flag if someone is averse to being touched. Like, it makes me wonder, like, why? What happened? Or
What happened?
how, because again, it's just a human need. How do you not need it? It doesn't make
Mm-hmm.
sense to me. And
Mm-hmm.
not that, everybody who doesn't like to hug is something wrong with them. That's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what I know now is I need that. That is a requirement for me. And if you can't or don't or won't, provide that, then yeah, it's just not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. So
So I told you that they're saying like there's seven.
uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
one of those is communication, and I think that's pretty ironic, since last week it was such a stress
Yeah.
of communication.
Yep.
And when you think about like in a relationship, if your partner, if one does something to hurt the other, sometimes instead of talking, like we might give the cold shoulder or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, or sometimes like we talked about last week, and you and I talked a lot about this. Some people just don't want to talk. They would rather die, it
Yeah.
seems, it seems,
Yeah.
than to have a conversation. But when you shut your partner out and you don't clearly communicate your
Mm-hmm.
needs then you're gonna increase the chances
Mhm.
of parting ways.
Yeah.
You know, there are so many different modes of communication, and when you love someone, you make an effort to use them in a
Yeah.
way to improve your relationship.
Yeah. I think about it the same way as physical touch. Like you said,
Mhm.
that abusive factor of like shutting somebody out, not letting them talk to you, or not
Mhm.
talking to them, or not allowing them to say what they need. Like that is another form of abuse to me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Wait now, doctor,
I have
doctor.
some flashbacks. I'm sorry. Woo.
But if you invest in your relationship and keep your
Uh-huh.
communication healthy, keep it clear, and love your partner in the ways they feel loved, and let your partner know in what language you feel loved,
Yeah.
then you're well on your way to
Mhm.
keeping things anew and keeping that love strong.
Yeah.
Right. But communications, it's important. I mean, there are certain aspects of or certain characteristics that are important to any
Mhm.
any relationship.
Yeah.
This is what Turquoise Almanac says about communication.
Okay.
Don't assume your partner knows everything about you,
Mm.
and don't assume that they know everything you expect in the relationship. Let them know. A relationship should be based on communication, not on assumption.
Wow. That's big. Because don't we do that all the time? Like, I am having conversations with people, when we had an argument and I could see someone go, well, did y'all talk about it? No. Why? Because she got attitude, or because he got attitude, or he mad. I'm just let him be mad. But maybe that's
Well,
an assumption.
some things do cause people to shut down. I know for me, if you're not going, if I'm not being heard,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of over it. I ain't gonna even lie. I'm not wasting my energies. You have to understand, like, this whole time thing
Mm-hmm.
is huge for me at almost 57.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now I see it as like, can't, like we said, I can't get that back.
Yeah.
Not wasting my time. In a relationship, I can't see myself just running you down,
Mm-hmm.
almost begging to communicate, to talk. Right? I
Right.
just can't see myself doing that. So, um, and so I probably would just shut
Mm-hmm.
down. I know that if you're willing,
Mm-hmm.
we can have a great discussion,
Mm-hmm.
but it can't be projecting.
Right.
It can't be unaccountability.
Right.
Can't be no yelling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of things it can't be.
Yeah. And I think people mistake conversation, communication, discussions for arguments. Like those are
Oh,
very
yes,
different.
that is a good, but yes, that is so true. I mean, you triggered me then. Yes, yes, yes. It's a debate. It's an argument.
Right.
It's there you go throwing up something. There you go. You ruining the moment.
Right. No, I'm just trying to communicate. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Um, the other one that they consider a love language is expression of affection and love. Um, you have to be in a relationship where you feel loved by your partner and where there's affection between the two of you. And all of you, if you are in a um, polyamorous relationship,
Mm-hmm.
um, when you do something with sincere affection, you should always celebrate it. Everything born of the heart is blessed.
Mm.
Iris Murdoch says we can only learn to love by loving. I
Wow.
love that. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that because I often say I love to love. And when I say that, I really mean it. Like, not just romantically based, when my grandkids around, I'm loving on them. It feels
Yeah.
so good. When I'm loving on my children, it feels so good,
Yeah.
I love to love because
Yeah.
it's something so healing
It is.
about love.
It is. And I maybe that is why, those people that we were talking about before when I was talking about red flags, people who are touch averse,
Uh-huh.
maybe they are because they didn't experience what it feels like how good it feels to love or to
Uh-huh.
maybe even be loved. And that's not their fault.
Uh-huh.
But I do think I know that what happens to you as a child is not your fault, but when you
You
become
get ready to say it. You get ready to say it. Go on, say it. I was just thinking that great minds think alike. Go
they
ahead.
do, they do. It's not it becomes your responsibility as an adult
To
to
heal.
yes, absolutely. And not to go around inflicting it on everybody else. Fix your stuff. Fix your stuff.
Mm-hmm. Own it and fix it.
Own it and fix it. Yeah. Well, I did want to tell everybody where the love language quiz is.
Okay.
There might be some people like, well, how do I figure this out? How do I?
Mm-hmm.
But there is a 5 love languages website, which is 5lovelanguages.com.
Mm-hmm.
Just go to that website, you click on the quiz, you answer a few questions, and it tells you it's
And then
pretty.
it generates it. Yeah.
Yep. Have your kids take it too. We need to know how to
And be honest when you answer the question so that you can have
yeah.
accuracy in your results,
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be ashamed if you really like gifts. It's okay.
Right.
No,
Right.
seriously, I'm not.
Yeah. Don't think too long, too hard about any one answer. Just go with your gut.
Like, go with that. Yeah, that first mind. Go with that first mind. That's what I did. Like, like I was just like clicking. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you telling me we're out of time?
Yeah, we're there. It's crazy.
Well, one of my love languages is the 94.7 FM audience every Saturday at 2 p.m. We love you guys so much. And we thank you so much for coming back every week. And we want you to come back next Saturday, same chat channel, same chat time. And we will see you here, right here in this chat room next Saturday on 94.7 FM on Dr. to Doctor in the chat room. We will see you then.